Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Root of All Podcasts. I am your Miles-shaped host, Miles Newbirth.
I'm the other host. I'm Devin.
He's also a Newbirth. We're a pair of them.
Yeah, I almost didn't want to introduce myself after that one. I didn't know if I wanted to be associated with that introduction or not.
I don't see the problem. I'm a host. I'm Miles-shaped. I'm Miles. That all checks out. 3 for 3, 100% on that pop quiz.
Yeah.
But Happy New Year, everyone.
Yeah, this should be going up on New Year's Day. So hopefully everyone had a great holiday season. Hopefully everyone had a great New Year's Eve and is just raring and ready to go in the new decade.
Yeah. Ready for these roaring 20s.
The super fun thing is that we decided to use a very, very topical episode topic. Yeah. So for those of you joining us for the first time, we each pick a podcast episode based on a theme and then tell you about it. That's our jam.
That's what we do. Helping you guys pick what podcasts to listen to, besides, obviously, this one.
Yes. The other ones, because this one is the obviously number one choice. So being super topical like we always are.
It's Legos.
Yeah, brother sent me a whole list of random things, and I was like, sure, Legos.
Yeah, I started with Legos, and then I listed other ones. I was like, New Year's resolutions, New Year's celebrations around the world, the 1920s. And then he was like, sure, Legos. I'm like, all right, fine.
Yeah, each recommendation got like more and more topically appropriate for when it was coming out. And I just went back to the very beginning to the first one.
To the one that made you go, why Legos? And I don't remember what I said. Is something... I'm bad at brainstorming. Yeah. I brainstorming is not a special skill of mine.
It's alright. As with every topic, there were about 1 billion podcasts to choose from.
Yeah. I'm hoping yours is nice and hefty, because I had a light load this week. Once I picked and listened to my podcast, I'm like, oh, I can say something about this.
Well, alright. So I'll start with my topic, my episode that I listened to. It is from Improvised Wikipedia.
Okay. Sounds fun.
Which is, I'll give you the little descriptor here. Each week, comedians Glenn Tickle and John Lunger improvise a random Wikipedia entry. There are facts, sure, but also a lot of nonsense. They are not affiliated with Wikipedia.
Right.
So the episode is titled Lego and was released in November of 2019. November 19th, 2019. So it's pretty recent for them.
Rad.
It is roughly 58 minutes long. So they chat for a while about Legos. I do want to say right away, this one has that explicit tag on it there's some coarse language and some challenging ideas.
Sure.
But I thought it was entertaining. I thought it was funny. But definitely something to keep in mind. Probably don't... blare it over your computer speakers at work or something like that.
Right. Is that what you did? Did you blare it over your computer speakers at work?
No.
Just over the intercom, just for everyone,
So, here's the actual episode descriptor for this particular episode.
Okay.
John and Glenn switch roles and are small plastic boys this week. Glenn tried to plastic shame Lego back in elementary school. Not surprisingly, John and Glenn were big nerds who built lots of Legos as kids. They actually kind of know this one. So they talk about how they switched roles, but...
Since it's the only episode you've listened to, yeah, you have no idea.
I didn't notice at all. So Apparently it was unusual. It was kind of led by Glenn. The only reason I know that is because they specifically tell you which one has this Lego anecdote about plastic shaming Lego in elementary school.
Oh.
Because otherwise, after one episode, I wasn't able to remember which voice is which.
I get that. I'm like knees deep into the F Reality podcast that I mentioned in the VR episode, and I'm just now Like, I just now have all of their names parsed, I think.
It doesn't help that every time they introduce themselves, they do a different wacky introduction.
Yeah. And I don't think I would have been able to figure them all out, but at some point, I went and watched at least one of their videos on YouTube for each of them.
Ah.
And I feel like that really helps me. Like, seeing them, like, putting a face to it, like, can help me start to try and parse out.
Yeah. But being able to put a face to a name, or a face to a voice, definitely can help. So since we've already started on a tangent, for Christmas, Hannah got me a trip to a local VR place.
Yeah?
But so we're going, Dad's coming with, Hannah's coming with. On Tuesdays, they do all-you-can virtual reality for $35 per person, which is really reasonable for a virtual reality place.
Yeah.
Because it's 3 p.m. to 10 p.m., which is 7 hours of virtual reality. That's a lot of virtual reality.
Do you know what they got? Is it mostly just headsets hooked up to computers, or do they have some, like, simulators, treadmills, that sort of thing?
It's mostly headsets hooked up to computers. They do have 2 that are set up to be kind of more racy simulator type setups. I don't know how, like, set up it is. I know they have steering wheels, but I don't know beyond that what those are set up for. But it's mostly just headsets to play with.
Cool.
It'll be fun. We'll play some Super Hot, play some Rec Room maybe.
Ooh, let me know. If I'm off, I'll jump in. Maybe we can play Rec Room together while you're there.
So I'm really excited about that. Moving on, back to Legos.
Yeah.
So, obviously I don't want to go over everything because it's, I'll just kind of run down how the episodes work in general and how this episode worked and trying to give a few basic things here. So, first, they talked about how they were going to be very on task and start right away. And then they spend 10 minutes randomly picking a topic from submissions. So, what happens is before they record episodes, they ask for submissions from the internet. And then they do like a random number generator or something to randomly pick one. And this process, because of talking, took about 10 minutes. And when I wrote that in my notes, I thought I was exaggerating, but I actually went back because I was looking for something else. Yeah. And it was literally about 9.5 minutes.
Nice.
Before they even said the word Legos.
So it sounds like this podcast might be for you if you also like the podcast you're currently listening to.
I did kind of get it's definitely a different idea than podcasts versus Wikipedia, and they do their kind of research while they're recording their podcast
on the flow.
I'd like their vibe. Let's just say that. So they spend 10 minutes doing that. They picked Legos this particular episode. I assume they don't pick Legos every episode because that would be weird.
Kind of a fun take on the worst idea of all time format.
It's
Every week we make up a different Wikipedia article to the same topic.
It's like, it'd be a really complicated way to get to the same topic, too.
Yeah.
So basically, they pick the topic, which was Legos in this instance, and then they list everything they can think of about Legos that may or may not be true, and just kind of tell stories about Legos.
Cool.
One of those is where Glenn sent a letter to Lego and asked them if they used recycled plastic in Legos, and if not, why not?
All right.
If you want to know what happened, listen to the podcast.
Sure.
Bang, bang, bang.
Nailed it.
So they kind of sit and chat about that, and then about halfway through, they do a ad break. Or rather, they pretend to do an ad break. At least in this instance. They did a fake ad break for Mega Bloks.
Ah. So you don't know if that's like part of the bit or just something.
I don't know if they always do a fake ad break. But
for a competitor too.
But they definitely did a fake ad break in this episode. They just basically said they were reading an ad for Mega Block and then just came up with random like taglines for Mega Bloks. Like Mega Bloks. Are you poor?
Rude. True. Rude.
I don't want to.
Listen, we didn't Mega Block. We had Lincoln Logs from our grandma's house that were from our parents' childhood. That's
half a Lincoln Log set.
Yes.
Lincoln Logs. Where did the other half of the set go?
Lincoln Logs. You're 5. This is too complicated. I could not make a house that actually looked like a house to save my life.
And then also, Lincoln Logs, you're 6. This is boring now. There's no age in which Lincoln Logs are actually fun.
No, I think there is one, and I think it's 28. I think right now I would mess up some Lincoln Logs.
Yeah, there are definitely some like children toys in quotes that are definitely way more fun and entertaining for adults.
I feel like I could do some mad crazy stuff with a Connect set in a way that like young Miles had no clue.
They actually dunk on Connects pretty hard in this episode.
Fair.
So the issue is Connects just wanted to be Legos so bad and weren't Legos. And the issue with Connects is that you're like, it seems like it should be more free, but you're really locked in with their angles because of all the angle connectors.
No, I get you though. I think the thing Connects jumped into first. I think they got into this a little before Legos, and then Legos kind of came in and did it as well. Was like pander to the kids who wanted to build robots. I think early on Connects was like, yeah, sure, you can't do anything you can imagine, but our carousel, like you can build a functioning electronic carousel. Like stuff like that.
Lego Technics has been around for a long time actually. That actually comes up in the episode. I don't remember the exact date that it came out, but it's been out for a long time.
I feel like what might happen there is that Lego Technics they're both aimed for slightly older kids, but Lego Technics is just a little bit older kids than the Connects robotic stuff. So I discovered the Connects moving stuff first.
That could be.
Didn't you have that like Lego Technics R2-D2 that you could like try and program to do stuff?
No, I had a Mindstorm kit. But I could barely get it to do anything. They made an R2-D2 set that I really wanted, but that actually came out after I got my Mindstorm kit.
Okay, Mindstorm. No idea what that did. I remember you had it, and then I never saw it do anything.
Yeah. Well, I don't think the computer that we had access to was compatible with it properly.
Right. I feel like when I have a kid, I'm gonna mess up some like robotic stuff. It's gonna be one of those like meme comics where like the dad's like, oh, let's build this together, and then the kid gets bored and the dad's sitting there till all hours of the night having fun with it alone. Like that's me.
But I was going to say that I think the thing with Connects was that I think Connects, as far as like building moving parts, had a cheaper entry point than Lego Technics did. I think that has more to do with it than the age requirements. I think it was just in order to get moving parts, Connects had a cheaper entry point than Legos did. Lego's entry point, in general, Lego sets are expensive, and the Technic ones are not on the cheap end of that spectrum.
No, I think Legos. The real reason Legos beats Connects and Mega Bloks and everyone is that like yes, fun, inventive. They own a lot of licenses, so you can do a lot of cool licensed materials. Mm-hmm. But like one of their own intellectual properties is like one of the coolest things to exist in any medium, and I am of course referring to Bionicle.
Yeah, you were right in that age group that just loved Bionicles.
Bionicle's rad. You got these guys, they looked awesome, you could replace parts and stuff, and then you watch the movie and you're like, awesome. This looks sick.
It was basically like build your own Transformers.
But they were also Power Rangers. Like build your own Transformer that is also a Power Ranger.
So that's kind of what they decided to do with Ninjago. That's basically what Ninjago is. Ninja Power Rangers that you build.
Yeah, but they just don't look as sick as the Bionicles. And I got into Ninjago for a while because it should be Ninjago, but like it's also Ninjago. It's bad. But fine. I got me and Charlie. If you're listening, Charlie, shout out. We got really into Lego sets for a while growing up. Like when we were in high school and just had income and nothing to do with it, we would just buy some Lego sets and just go off in his basement. That's when I really got into Bionicles, but we dabbled with some Ninjago. But yeah,
Bionicles are one of the things that saved Lego, actually. So in the 90s, Legos actually went through a period where they were like, they almost folded.
Woof.
Well, so this was it was either in the 80s or 90s. They were just struggling.
It's because everyone already owned the Western set and the City set, and the space set, and that's all they had, and everyone already owned them.
But so, yeah, basically what saved Legos was Bionicles, because they had a whole new line, and they did, like, the little TV shows and stuff that kids liked. And then they did... The first licensing deal that they did was with Star Wars.
I was gonna say it was the Wars, yeah?
Which was a real good choice.
And those Lego sets are still, like, some of the top-tier Lego sets.
What's really funny is they didn't know if they wanted to do a licensing deal with Star Wars because the inherent violence. Lego has generally kind of stayed away from war sets. They don't believe in it.
That's some real revisionist history on the Old West there, my friend.
Okay, but no, but they don't... it's nothing... It's not a war set. It's playing cowboys. That's not the same thing. I'm not saying that they're perfect. But they didn't know if they wanted to do Star Wars. But they did. So, you know, they make all the lightsabers and all the little minifig heads and all that fun stuff. When they do licensing deals, they try not to make too many unique bricks for the licensed stuff. Usually they'll stick with the minifigs and then like one or two little things depending on whatever the thing is. But, you know, that licensing and Bionicles really saved them, and now they're back to being like this huge brand.
I mean, like, Star Wars saved them. I'd say the second biggest property they have.
Mm-hmm.
Harry Potter.
Oh, yeah, well, Star Wars, like, paved the way.
Yeah, then the floodgates opened. I wonder if they're pissed or if they're totally chill with the fact that, like, Mega Bloks, I think it's Mega Bloks, got the Halo licensing.
It was a Mega Bloks or Playmobil? I don't remember.
One of the two. I think Mega Bloks, but I could be wrong. Either way.
Honestly, at this point, by the time anyone got the licensing, Halo was so played out.
I guess. See, I feel like Lego could have really brought it to next level. Like, they could have put together some really cool sets. But the thing that I wanted most in the entire world would be a Lego Halo video game.
That'd be pretty sweet.
That would be amazing. Oh, I would just die. All the Lego video games are also, like, way better than they have any right to be.
That's very true. I think the height of Lego video game is actually, once again, Lego Star Wars, when you had the complete trilogy. The 6 movies in one game.
The complete saga. I think
yeah, complete saga is what they called it, which is inaccurate now, but that's what they called it. And the reason I like that game in particular is because it's so huge. There's so much you can do in that game. But yet they did my favorite thing, which was that the Legos don't talk in that game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a big fan of actual real voice acting in the Lego games, personally.
Yeah, I think they did that in Lord of the Rings. And outside of that, Lego Lord of the Rings is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because, like, the overworld on it, like, is so cool. Like, going from, like basically walking the path of the ring, like, to get from level to level is really sick. I also think the overworld in the Lego Indiana Jones games is really solid.
Lego Batman 2 was my second favorite, but that's mostly because in Lego Batman 2, you got to play as the whole rest of the Justice League, which includes the Green Lantern. So,
how's that moveset?
So, like, he can float, kind of like Superman can, but then, for, like, creating stuff with his Green Lantern ring, there's basically, like, glowy green bricks at certain parts and certain levels that only Green Lantern can interact with. And they make special green shape.
Alright.
I think he shoots, like, a beam or something.
Beams and bubbles? Hal Jordan?
I don't know. Yeah, it's definitely Hal Jordan, but, you know, that's okay. Moving back to the podcast that I'm talking about right now. So they do the funny ad break, and then they come back, and that's when they actually compare, like, their notes that they've taken, making up their own Wikipedia page, with the real Wikipedia page.
Okay.
And they just kind of talk about anything that they missed, anything that they got wrong, anything they got right. Then they decide if they made a better Wikipedia or worse. If you want to know how they rated themselves, once again, you're gonna have to listen to the podcast.
Awesome.
It was a blast and a half to listen to. You can tell they get along.
How long they've been doing this? What kind of backlog are you looking at?
I'm not sure. I honestly don't look that deep into it unless I'm pulling an older episode. Just to peel back the curtain a little bit, I basically find the episode that covers the topic I want, and then I go and make sure that they're still making episodes, usually.
That's something I ran into looking for a Lego podcast. I found a couple that sounded interesting, but they weren't running anymore.
So I almost did one about something that I want to talk about in a second. Great. I almost did one talking about the Lego Movie 2.
I considered that as well.
I almost did that mostly because I haven't seen the Lego Movie 2, and I don't have any real plans to see the Lego Movie 2, and so I thought maybe I could just listen to a podcast instead, and that would be, just as good.
Thing is, I do want to see it. I don't have plans
At some point, I wouldn't mind seeing it.
I liked the first one a lot.
The first one is so good.
I haven't heard bad things about the second one, just I haven't heard anything. And if it's like sliding in, even if it's coasting at around the same level as the first one, it's going to be worth a watch.
So, did you see Lego Batman?
Yes.
I loved Lego Batman. It was so good.
It's excellent.
Some people don't like it, and they're wrong, and that's okay.
Yeah, everyone's wrong about something. It's a fact of life.
I have not seen the. I also listened to a podcast that talked about the Lego Ninjago movie, Ninjago, whatever.
The trailers looked good. I'm never going to see it. I hope to someday, but probably never going to see it.
So I guess it stars Jackie Chan, or like features Jackie Chan.
Yeah.
Like both in the Lego form and in live action form.
Jeez,
Jackie Chan.
Great. Love that.
So I listened to an episode, I don't remember what the podcast was, but someone that was describing that movie basically said that 45 minutes in the middle of that movie, not one single thing that was worth discussing happened. Oh. Which that seems insane. That for 45 minutes, just nothing happened.
Yeah, which, well, not worth discussing. Because if it was like 45 minutes of stuff being very bad,
yeah,
you would discuss it.
It was just 45 minutes of, I don't know. Like, it almost makes me want to watch it just to find out what he means.
What does that mean? Yeah. Curiosity piqued.
But so, I don't know if this is a thing that you would want to do, but neither of us have seen the Lego Movie 2.
Right.
I thought maybe we could try our hand at improvising a Lego Movie 2 Wikipedia page.
Right, okay.
And then seeing how we did. It would be real quick. I cheated a little bit because this isn't our jam, and because, we don't have a super long time to do it. So I have, like, the categories that are in, like, a normal movie Wikipedia page. That way we can kind of just fill in those blanks a little bit.
Right.
It's Lego Movie 2, which has a subtitle. Do you know what the subtitle is, brother?
Everything is awesome?
No.
Nope.
It is Lego Movie 2, the second part.
Ah, right.
Because they're the most meta. It's all the meta. So, first thing you go over is generally like a
synopsis?
So it doesn't actually have like an explanation for what the first part is called. But yeah, just kind of like a synopsis of...
Okay, Lego Movie 2 was released in 2018 under the direction of... Steven Spielberg, starring Chris Pratt, Chris Evans, Chris Hemsworth, Chris Farley, and Chris London.
Definitely, all those people.
Those people starred in it, maybe.
So basically, you've got the plot, the cast, the release, the reception, and the future. So for the plot...
I don't want to know the future. I'm not into that stuff.
You're not a psychic?
Yeah, no, I'm not a...
So, the plot, I would think, basically, what will happen in the Lego movie, what did happen in this, because it's a Wikipedia page, the plot is that Duplos are there, because that happened at the end of the first movie. There are Duplos, and bad things happen because of Duplos. And
they had, like, apocalypse vibes.
Yeah, and so then one of the Chris's, I know from the trailer that Chris Pratt plays multiple characters, and there are raptors, and they save the day, and the moral of the story is to play with your sister.
Yeah,
I think that's the plot.
I'm wondering if, like, because, like, everything was awesome in the first one, but, like, literally, they were in a basement, and everything was neat and tidy because Dad was a Lego man, and all that jazz. And at the end, he's like, I'll let my kid play with it. So, like, is everything being an apocalypse just, like, what happens when you mix Lego sets? Like, is that the consequences? Like, is the consequence of the happy ending of the first film, well, everything's bad now. Like...
Everything is not awesome.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
The world may never know.
So who do you think is in this one? The first movie was star-studded, had all the stars in it.
Yeah. I mean, I already threw out my guesses.
All the Chris's?
Every Chris that's ever lived.
Chris? Chris
including
Burkhardt?
some that they had to... including some they had to, like, CGI hologram in, which was way easier to do when it was a minifig.
Yeah, they could have just used them in the Lego form. They actually put Chris Farley in the live-action scenes, which I don't know why they did that.
Yeah, it was really not ideal, but, I mean, anything that pushes that medium forward, I'm hoping by the time I die, we'll be so good at holograms, no one will know. Everyone will just assume that I haven't died because the hologram of me will be so good.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
We're not far off with the deep fakes and whatnot. I don't know what that means, but I've heard the term.
The deepest fake. It's the new title of my memoirs, is The Deepest Fake.
Okay.
I don't know what it means. No one does.
No one does. So every Chris is in it. There's, I don't remember who played the lead female in the first one. I'm sure she's back. It wasn't
Aubrey Plaza, was it? No.
Was it
Aubrey Plaza? Oh, I'm just thinking Parks and Rec, aren't I? Shoot.
Yeah.
Dag, yo.
Yeah, it was not Aubrey Plaza. That's a different series.
Oh, man.
Way to go.
I just wanted to get more work. I love Aubrey Plaza.
Good.
I want him to remake...
Do you think Morgan Freeman's in this one?
I think so. I want him to remake Nancy Drew, but as an adult who's, like, embittered but still somehow solving mysteries, like, almost begrudgingly, and it is Aubrey Plaza. Like, that's a TV show I would watch.
Huh.
Yeah.
Just, like, bitterly, sarcastically solving mysteries.
Like, almost accidentally at this point.
Yeah,
like,
well, just, like, refusing to solve the mystery, and then when no one else solves it, she's just like, oh my god, you idiots, here's the answer.
Yeah.
Every episode.
Like, and keeps doing it because she can't keep a regular job. She's like, I'm not a detective anymore. I was technically never a actual detective. I work at the burger joint. You're fired. I'll take the case. Like...
I'll need you to pay me up front.
This is a good series. I'm going to write it. Okay, Aubrey Plaza's people, get at me. This is her role. This is the role of a lifetime for her.
Definitely. So, release. It came out... Did it come out in 18?
I guessed.
I don't know if it's 18 or 19. It's one of those two. It might have come out in this year.
Last year, technically, for you guys listening at home.
Yes, in the future.
That's what the future part of the Wikipedia says. Calling it now. In the future, a worse version of this Wikipedia will be made on a podcast that doesn't make worse Wikipedia articles usually.
Yes. Reception. How do you think it was received?
It seemed sublimely average. I've heard no bad things about it.
I think I haven't heard anything about it at all, so I think it was just kind of, it flew under the radar, kind of.
I'm sure all the kids who went to see it loved it, and all the parents who brought the kids were like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's, I'm sure that it made a decent amount of money from kids really wanting to see it.
Again,
but I'm sure it didn't lose a ton of money, or we would have heard about that.
Yeah.
But I don't think it, like, broke any records or anything like that. It wasn't there. The thing with the first Lego movie is that visually it was so cool. The fact that they did that thing, but like doing that again kind of has lost its shine at this point. Yeah. Especially when you've made Lego Batman and Lego Ninja Go and all those stuff, with the visuals being just as good in those movies.
What's hard is going and watching any of, like, the mini shorts that they make that look like the video games.
That looked like a 1995 video game?
Yeah. Like, any of that's tough now.
Yeah. It doesn't even look like the new video games. The new video games look pretty good. It looks like Lego Island.
Yeah. Lego Island's what I was thinking of when you were saying they don't do war stuff. I'm like, yeah, wasn't Lego Island, you were literally a pizza boy? Like, they didn't even know how to do video games back then.
So that's the reception, and now it's time to predict the future. I don't think that we're supposed to predict future Wikipedia entries. What do you think is the future for the Lego franchise of movies? the Lego Cinematic Universe, if you will.
Lego Disney crossover full feature length in theaters Lego Star Wars movie. New original story. Written by Taika Waititi because I'd love to see it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I think that they'll just keep. I think they'll make just a Lego 3 and just like keep cranking money out of it as long as they can out of little kids.
That's fair. That makes sense, but I don't know.
Lego Movie 3.
The lack of hype around this one.
What do you think they would subtitle a third Lego movie?
Lego 3. Sure, why not?
Lego 3: The Search for More Money.
Yeah.
Good. Really quickly, I'm going to actually pull up the Wikipedia page.
All right. This is good. We're wasting a lot of time, which is nice because I could talk about my podcast in a paragraph and be done.
Yeah, there it is. That's the Wikipedia page. I shared it to you.
All right. They're asking me for money.
Yeah, they do that. So the Lego Movie 2, the second part, came out in 2019. So we
blew it.
We hedged our bets with saying 18 or 19.
Yeah, that's fair.
So we get half credit, I think.
Yeah.
Warner Animation Group. So probably not a lot of...
Not a Spielberg jam.
Probably not a lot of... it was directed by Mike Mitchell, which is not Steven Spielberg.
Yeah.
Chris Pratt was right, but I think that might be the only Chris in the movie.
There are so many Chris's. I really thought that I had a shot.
Yeah.
Of getting at least a second Chris in there, you know? I don't really need to.
Chris McKay was supposed to was supposed to direct it, but I guess didn't.
Yeah.
Chris Miller was a producer on this one, and he wrote, I think, they wrote and directed the first one.
Sick.
So let's go to the actual parts that we talked about. Oh,
and Chris Miller is also several voices. So
okay. So the plot is a lot longer than I would have thought it was. It is like, let's see, 5 paragraphs, and like 3 of them are very, very long. So I would say that we were probably a little simplified when it comes to the plot description.
Yeah, probably.
We probably didn't cover all the beats.
There's a lot of score. There's a video game. There's short films. Reception. I mean...
So cast. Here's the cast. Okay, let's see if there's any more Chris's. Chris Pratt. Nope. That's it. That's the only Chris. Christopher Miller played a horse. Yeah. At a talking chocolate bar. So
we were mad wrong about Future.
Oh yeah? Oh wait, hold up. Well, you're skipping ahead.
I know. I have attention deficit disorder.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I know. Shocking.
I've never heard you talk about that before. The release, it came out in February of 2019, so that's basically 2018 if you really think about it. February is barely even in that year. It's practically in the previous year.
Yeah.
I'm just saying the Super Bowl happens at the beginning of February, and this year's Super Bowl for 2019 is in 2020 technically. So,
sure.
I mean, really,
what is time? Really, time's an illusion.
Reception. Let's see. Grossed $105.8 million in the United States, $85.1 million in other territories. So just under 200 million worldwide. So, nothing to sneeze at, I guess. I don't know how much they spent on the movie, but probably a lot with Chris Pratt in it. I think Chris Pratt makes about $200 million, just to be in any movie at this point.
Probably.
On Rotten Tomatoes, it got 85%.
That's audience, yeah?
So that's not bad. But only 7 out of 10. So, I mean, that's weird. I don't know.
It's still a passing grade.
Yeah.
Technically.
All right, let's see. The future. Lego Movies 2 disappointing box office returns. Oh no. Allowed their film rights to expire. Universal bought them.
Oh, but I bet they can make some bomb-ass rides.
Probably.
You can make a sick Lego movie ride now that Universal has it.
Yeah, they could definitely do that. Let's look forward to Lego Movie Land.
Not to be confused with Lego.
No, I don't think Lego. I don't think they own the movie rights, but I don't think they own the theme park rights. I think Lego owned the Legoland theme park rights. Probably. Although they have, so there are like 6 Legolands that are like actual theme parks, and like a bunch of them have closed. So I mean, you never know what'll happen.
Yeah.
So that is why we are not very good at improvising Wikipedia. If you want to hear 2 people who are good at doing that, you should listen to Improvising Wikipedia, a podcast about that thing.
Yeah. Let's jump into mine real quick. So the fact that I don't have a lot to say about mine does not mean it isn't good. It just means it's a good idea, concisely delivered, and there's not a lot to say about it. This week I listened to a podcast called What If World. This one decidedly does not have the danger E for explicit. And the title of this episode is What If Legos Were Alive? So basically what happens is
so
Mr.
like Toy
Eric,
Story, but with Legos.
Yeah. Mr. Eric, there's a phone number you can call and leave voice messages with questions that start with what if. And some of them are chosen and played during the episode. And Mr. Eric writes and performs a story that is just like what if blah blah blah. So the description of this episode is: when the bottom brick of a building block tower decides to shake things up, will their whole toy culture come crashing down? Maybe Daphne Dill, the talking wildflower daffodil, can help keep the peace. So yeah, basically early on they have a very catchy little theme song. Then they played a voice message where this kid introduced himself, said, "I'm insert name here. I like talking flowers, and what if Legos were alive?" And Mr. Eric's like, "You like talking flowers. Have you met any? Because I would like to meet some. I bet I would like them as well." It's a very much a children's podcast, which is something I hadn't really come across before. But like having it be like these like short stories, like I could see that being a cool thing to like listen to with your kid while you're in the car or before bed or something like that. Kind of like how people used to gather around the radio to listen to Buck Rogers or whatever.
Sure.
So basically, the story is, what if Legos were alive? And it starts with a talking flower, and then we get into these living bricks. There's drama and compassion, delight.
Who's all on the pod? Is it just the one
Mr. Eric?
Mr. Eric on the podcast, so he does all the characters and voices and everything?
Yeah, he does do a bunch of different voices for each one.
Awesome. Very cool. Very cool.
It is. It feels like... It's like, what if you took just the, like, imagination train part of Mr. Rogers and turned it into a radio play? So yeah, it was very charming, and I enjoyed it. This one was 16 minutes. I've started listening to my podcasts on 1.5 speed, so it was less than that for me. But,
so you're like, hit play, and then we're like, oh, it's over. Okay.
Basically, yeah. But yeah, it was nice, and, like, it's something I'd never experienced before in terms of, like, I didn't really even think about what might be out there.
Yeah, it's good that there's content out there for everyone. And I mean, with as many podcasts as there are out there, I literally think there is something out there that everyone would like.
We've never not been able to find podcasts, you know?
And I honestly don't foresee that happening. Ever. At this point, I would be really surprised if we picked a random topic and couldn't find a podcast. Like, that would shock me.
Yeah.
And not only that, but like 2 different separate podcasts that take completely different, views about something.
100%. I do think just to pad out my portion of the podcast as well, I'm curious. I think we should each share just one like Lego memory from our childhood.
Okay.
So you should start.
Okay, I can do that. So the first thing that comes to mind is this is back when Dad's mom, when Grandma Newverth was working for Old Country Buffet.
Okay.
They would do, in the summer, they would do parades.
Yeah.
And we went and did a parade in Stewartville, and I wore the bee costume in the parade in rollerblades. I rollerbladed in the bee costume in the parade. So that was a thing that I did.
I remember being jealous of that at the time.
It's not fun to do in it.
Yeah. By the time I was old enough too, she didn't do that anymore. And then also as an adult, I realized it must have not have been good.
It wasn't that fun, but it was an experience, and like I really liked rollerblading when I was younger, but
Same.
Rollerblading and parade is different because you have to go very slow.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have to stay with your float. And that's not how I liked to rollerblade.
No.
Also, it was in the middle of summer and about 1,000,000 degrees, and I was wearing a giant bee costume.
Yeah. With a broken head fan, yeah?
Probably. I don't think any of those mascot costumes actually ever come with a functioning fan. I think they come with a broken fan from factory.
That tracks.
What this has to do with Legos is after we did the parade, Grandma took me to Toys R Us and let me where every kid wants to go. Anytime that you have to go to a store, if it can be a Toys R Us, that's a win.
Yeah.
When you're a kid. Unfortunately, those, don't exist anymore. But it was a blast when you're a kid, just because the whole store is just toys wall to wall. And I got to pick out what I wanted. Pretty much anything I wanted. And that's actually where I got the Lego Mindstorm set, which is not a cheap set. It was like $100 or $200 Lego set.
Woof.
And that Old Country Buffet is closed now, so Toys R Us, so I don't think anyone can get in trouble. She traded Old Country Buffet coupons to like one of the managers at the Toys R Us to get the Lego set.
Sick. That's awesome.
But so, and I played with the Lego set a little bit, and like I said, I struggled getting to work with our computer, but that's one of the coolest memories I have with, honestly, that's the thing with Legos. I like playing with Legos a lot, but like the first time you built a set, or just like getting the set and like having a new set of Legos to play with was always the most fun.
Sure.
Because, we had a big bucket full of Legos, but like those are the old Legos that we already played with. Those are used Legos. Who wants to play with those ones? I want a new set.
See, my Lego memory is a bucket-based memory.
Okay.
I did love new sets, especially, but like I feel like, so like when I got a Lego set a lot of times, and this is just a lot of me not saving my allowance well, but it was like something little, knick-knacky, and I would build it and play and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up having a lot more fun just with the bucket.
Yeah.
But I was down the block at the Johnsons.
Okay.
Hanging with Alex and Zach. If you're listening, they're super not listening. Shout out.
Oh, of course they're listening. Everyone listens to our podcast.
Yeah, you have to. How else
also, Chris Pratt, if you're listening, I really liked you in all your movies.
Yeah. Same for Chris Farley.
Woof.
Oh God, I'm the worst. Okay, no. But we would, and I don't know how we got away with this, but in front of their house, like on their steps, we would build like these big Lego cities. Like we would build Lego houses, and each of our characters would have jobs. Like one of them was the mechanic. The other thing was we would try and build Lego pod racers and then make them race. And by race, I mean hold them and run around the house. So the construction of your pod racer really had nothing to do with how fast you could go. And like I wasn't good at building things that looked good. It was mostly like vaguely pod racer shaped with zero color scheme. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I remember like building those cities and like having, instead of me designing the interior of my own house, one of the other characters was like, that's their job. They're an interior designer. So like they designed it for me, and I'm like, sick. Yeah. Like part of our Lego game was not getting to build my own stuff sometimes, that was just and that's my standout Lego memory from childhood.
Yeah, no, definitely when getting to play with someone else with Legos is always right. If you can get that cooperation going, it's always a fun time. I think Alex and Zach's mom was just happy to have them not playing in the house. I think that's why you got away with so much stuff like on their front
outside
step.
Yeah,
just like just go be not inside.
Yeah, that tracks, honestly. Oh man, childhood was wild. We should probably throw this on over to the algorithm, huh?
I suppose. Here, do you have I have contact information for my podcast really quickly.
Oh, yeah.
And then, like I said, I had I'll do it after the algorithm for the other stuff. But so contact. Oh, there we are. So they are Improvised Wikipedia. They've got Facebook, which is just facebook.com/improvised Wikipedia. And then on Twitter, it is Improv Wiki Pod. And if you want the spelling of that, you can check our episode description because it'll be there.
Yeah. If you want to check out What If World, it's What If World Stories for Kids by Eric O'Keefe. You can find them at whatifworldpodcast.com. And you can call to leave them a voicemail at 205-605-WHAT and be featured on the show.
Very cool.
Yeah. It's the first time we've had a phone number in these in these contact infos.
That's true.
Let's input some of this data into our algorithm real quick.
Let's.
All right. I'm getting my first printout now. Okay. It says What If World is for kids. It's great for also anyone interested in creating art or media for children. It's a great example of ways to do that. If you were interested in seeing like cool ways to interact with your audience, it has some of that. And if you want something to listen to that the little ones can enjoy, then check out What If World.
Great. All right. Got my printout here. It says that Improvised Wikipedia is recommended for anyone who is a fan of this podcast, this one that you're listening to right now.
So everyone, including Chris Pratt.
Especially Chris Pratt. It actually, well, I'll get to that. It's it's recommended for anyone who likes this podcast. It's recommended for people who aren't afraid of, explicit comedy a little bit. They don't go overboard, but, definitely be prepared for that. And then it says it's recommended specifically for Chris Pratt.
Awesome.
So, make sure Chris Pratt, who's definitely listening to this episode, make sure you go and listen.
So this one is obviously you do learn things from it, but does this fall under that category of like friend replacement podcasts?
Yeah. So one thing I did want to mention, I guess, is the way that they edit. They have one person in one ear mostly and the other person in the other ear mostly, which if you're listening with with full headphones is great because it feels like you're kind of sitting in the middle of a conversation.
Right.
But I tried to listen to it without headphones on my phone at one point, and I could hear one of them great and the other one not so great because my phone speakers are not of equivalent power.
Sure.
And so that's just something I wanted to note. If I were editing that particular podcast, I would dial that back a little bit.
Sure. Because
it's I like that effect, but it just got a little intense. Before we get into the thank yous, I do have a couple of little things. So, after our last episode went up, I did a poll on Twitter.
Okay.
It was about Baby Yoda and Christmas Yoda, which we talked about in our last episode.
All right.
I asked the internet, which I put up a picture of Christmas Yoda and Baby Yoda and asked which they thought was cuter. 13 people voted in this poll.
Nice.
Which, considering our listenership, I thought that was a pretty good
turnout.
pretty good turnout sample there. We had 13 votes. 31% of people could not decide between Christmas Yoda and Baby Yoda.
Wild.
And actually, with 38%, Christmas Yoda won. Apparently, according to our polling, Christmas Yoda is cuter than Baby Yoda.
We gotta ship this info to Disney because they need to know. They need it to know.
It's very important.
Yeah.
I do have
the fate of the Mandalorian depends on it.
Oh, definitely. I do have a quick self-correction from our Star Wars episode 2 as well, actually. 2 as well. That's a phrase I just said from our Star Wars episode. We talked about Jar Jar Binks as a senator. Jar Jar Binks apparently is not a senator. He's a representative.
Yes.
Now, if you want to know what that means in the galactic government, you would have to look that up because I have no idea what the difference between a representative and a senator is, other than a senator is like a higher ranked member of the Senate.
So I actually mentioned that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't remember you mentioning specifically that he was a representative.
Okay, no, I just mentioned he wasn't a senator because in the podcast I mentioned they refer to him as that.
So, but that's the thing. He never becomes a senator.
Yeah, no,
he's a representative the whole time. He already was one. It's not that he becomes one for the movie.
Yeah,
this whole thing got way longer than I meant it to. So some of that might get edited out. Yeah,
especially this part.
No, I don't know what you're talking about. This part's definitely staying in.
All right.
One more thing. Sorry.
Okay.
Also, I wanted to thank our Podchaser followers, which I will do as long as it is reasonable to do so. And right now, there are 2 of them. So I will thank both of them.
Yes.
We have Reginald the Great on Podchaser and Aha Dad are both following us on Podchaser, and I appreciate it very much.
Thanks,
if you could review us, that would be even better. But, following is fantastic too, so that's great.
Small victories.
Yeah, I love it. All right, now we can do the thank yous. Go ahead, brother.
So I have some stuff. I do a D&D stream 8 o'clock on Wednesdays. Currently, we're doing a marathon of all of our past episodes, one a day at 8. I don't know if that's still happening when this releases. If not, then check us out on Wednesdays, or go to our Twitch and just watch some of the backlog because it's all there now that we made affiliate. I also do VR streams. I'm actually going to be doing those for longer and more often. So if you guys have interest in VR, want to check out anything I'm doing, starting this Thursday, I will be doing 2-hour streams from 10 to midnight on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So
great.
Check me out for some more VR content. Now the thank yous. Thank you to Ame for letting me use her microphone. Thank you to
thanks, Ame.
Dad for algorithm assistance.
Yeah. Thanks, Mom and Dad, for the Chromebook that I'm Skyping with right now.
Rad. Super special thanks to viewers like you.
Yeah. Thanks in advance for rating and reviewing and following us on all of the things.
Pestering your
friends. We appreciate
to
it.
listen.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, I'll see you next time. I love you, brother.
Love you, brother.